I'd really like to ask is the three of you, or the organizations that you represent, have been on this Nyanza journey for a while. I would like to just find out if you can tell us about your journey. How has this journey been? Are there any lessons that you have learned on this journey since you've joined the development team? Thank you. Just share the mics.
So can I start?
Yes, you can.
Good afternoon. So as DBF Capital Partners, we first invested in this project in 2016. In 2016, we met Donovan. We were playing golf. Don says to us, we are about to hit financial close at the very worst. It will take you about 2 years. And 7 years later, we still haven't hit financial close. So initially, we thought that we were going to hit financial close in 2018. But, I mean, up to now, we're still going. So what actually happened in that particular journey, we first went to Germany. I am sure you'll recall. We looked at some plants in Germany. Secondly, another team went to New Zealand, Avetana, and the story is quite a long story itself. Went to New Zealand, that wasn't very successful. 6 years later, we bumped onto the Chinese. And one wonders why we did not actually start with our BRICS brothers, as they'll say. Because fast forward where we are today, the Chinese are in situ. We think we'll hit financial close by December. Production will probably start next year. Construction will start next year. And as they say, the rest is history, because for the next 3 years, we'll be in that phase. And we are actually hopeful as DBF Capital that finally we'll get to the end of the construction and we'll start production. So it really, really takes a long time. What are the lessons out of this? We've actually learned quite a number of things with projects. We as DBF Capital Partners are sector agnostic. So we decided that we wanted to diversify our portfolio and decided to go and invest in a manufacturing plant. And once we had done that, we initially thought that we, as guys from financial services, within 2-3 years, you'll be operating. One thing for sure, with construction projects, just like with IT projects and other, it takes an inordinate time to actually get to your financial close and get to production. Are there any things that we could have done better? Certainly a whole lot, but would we do it again? The answer is yes, we'll actually do it again. Whilst we actually thought that in 5 to 7 years, which is the window that we generally operate in, from start to selling an investment, we generally look at about 5 to 7 years. Here we are, 7 years later, we haven't even started. So there are a whole lot of lessons from sector to sector. Industries are very, very different, but we have enjoyed the ride. So yeah, and we'll continue to do so.
Excellent. Thank you. Mr. Sisse?
From an AFC perspective, it's been a very interesting journey up until now. I remember the first time actually came across the transaction. Ruel had actually made a trip down to South Africa and had passed it through another colleague. And I looked at the title and it said titanium dioxide pigment. And immediately I thought, I really should have paid more attention in chemistry. So there was an initial journey of really understanding what we were talking about. What is ilmenite? What is rutile? What are all of the different elements? And what is it used for? So our initial journey was really about learning and understanding and really getting comfortable with the fundamentals of the transaction. Donovan was incredibly patient and helpful in helping us to navigate this on a personal level, myself, but also supporting us as an institution to really understand. But I think fundamentally what we could not get away from was how important this transaction is for South Africa, but also for Africa as a continent. South Africa is I think the second largest producer of titanium ores, and none of it is beneficiated in country. So this project for titanium dioxide pigment will be the first of its kind, not just for South Africa, but for the entire African continent. When it comes to our relevance as a continent, we have so many different policies that have been discussed at BRICS in terms of free trade and all of the various different strategies that have been worked through over time. But really, industrialization is one that has always proven to lift most ships out of poverty and create meaningful economic existence for citizens. So this project, from an AFC perspective, is fully aligned with that in terms of helping to be a transformational project that can help to support that story for South Africa, but more broadly for the continent.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Mr. Ngwenya, how was your journey?
Thank you, Proud Rita. I think for me, to have come this far, it's been a long and winding journey with its own challenges, but interesting and enjoyable nevertheless. When we came across the project, I mean, it was around 2014, and titanium dioxide, as Peggy indicated, I also thought it was going to be quick. Very soon we'll be producing. But to my surprise, we're here today, still slogging on. However, I think from our part as government, it was important that we support the entrepreneurs, because without the involvement of government, the likes of AFC and Afrexim Bank would have cold feet coming in. I remember when Afrexim Bank came in, we actually had to be interviewed because they didn't believe that government was supportive of the project to an extent that we were supporting the project preparation. So we were interviewed and we had to confirm that indeed government is supportive of the project, not just by words of mouth, but there's commitment, so there's exposure. But I think what counted for the project from our perspective was the entrepreneurs' commitment. And not only did they want to do this project, but they also had their skin in the game. So which made it easier for us to actually get involved, although project preparation is a risky business. So we had to take a calculated risk. And I would also give credit to our leadership at the department that they believed in the story, that we sold them. And I think today I'm relieved that the risk we took, indeed, it was calculated, because it seems to be bearing fruit given the achievements or the milestones that Rob has referred to. So it was critical for government to be indeed involved, because otherwise the banks that are involved today wouldn't have come. So with those few words, I would say we've learned a lot. Myself and my team, we were hands-on, and we are involved in the stakeholder, so we are following the progress as and when it happens, so we know exactly what is happening. So those were the learnings that we've had, and I think we would be able to transfer those learnings to other potential projects that I think the people in the room might be having. Government is here to support. We're just looking forward to those business cases that makes business sense, and the government is prepared to take that calculated risk. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you very much. I do have other questions. I would like us to zoom in a little bit more into your own organizations and answer the following question. What would you say are the strategic, is the strategic purpose that this project serves to your organization? So, you know, if you look at it from your organization's point of view, what made it make sense? Thanks.
Thank you. You know, JFK, the late American president, once said this thing: do not ask what America can do for you, but ask what you can do for America. From where we stand, we said, do not ask what South Africa can do for you. Ask what you can do for South Africa. When we look at this particular project, it's a legacy project. It actually demonstrates that government and private sector working together, what they can achieve. We as DBF Capital Partners believe in the ethos that we have to do well and do good. What does that mean? Without doing well, we can't actually do good. We can't create jobs. We can't do all those other things unless we also do well. So from where we stand, we think the project is fully aligned with the things that we try and do at DBF and what we actually believe in. You're looking at legacy project, a project that will survive even, say, 100 years when most of us are all gone. And things like that, we actually truly identify with that. You will know, maybe Don and company will know. We initially started off as bankers. We're able, after about 20 years, to sell the bank to Bob Diamond and other, Atlas Mara. So we look at this project as one of those kind of projects where we create legacy projects and make sure that those projects survive beyond all of us. And that's why we actually like this project. There are lots of learnings, but I'll just leave it there.
I touched on some of the strategic alignment from a sort of higher level perspective, but I think one of the critical things from project development that, you know, when you're trying to convince an institution to do a project like this, one of the things that was really critical was the PTDC. We almost never see something like this in our other project development transactions where you have effectively a pilot or a mini model of the project that you're trying to build mostly complete by the time that we came in. So we're very grateful to DTIC for the support that they provided to Nyanza to make that possible, because as Justin had mentioned, without it, it would have been much more difficult for us to come into the transaction. And as we progressed during the development stage, what was incredibly useful in having that was, you know, even when we're going through our approvals, certain questions that are asked by our committees, we're able to get answers almost in real time from the PTDC. And as we're going along, some of the critical questions in terms of, okay, so where are the off-takers? That's always, as a bank, that's always a critical question you'll be asked. And because of this investment in the PTDC, we're able to see that story build along the development path to a place now where there's a lot more comfort from in the institution in terms of the off-take story for this. The team has done an incredibly good job in that. So really the achievements and milestones that were hit at a very early stage of us coming to the table allowed us to really sell this internally as a project that, you know, given the broader strategic element, that at a fundamental level, at a detail level, that it made sense.
Thank you.
Thanks again, Project Director. I think from our institution as a government department, what the project represents is one of our key strategic objectives, that is to beneficiate the resources that are found in South Africa and Africa. But within that, where the project is located, it's located in one of our special economic zones. As it was indicated before, that at some point there was this idea that government was creating white elephants. And if you look at some of the operating SEZs today, you begin to see the vision that the government had, that now it's kind of paying off. If you take the Nyanza project as an anchor project within the Richards Bay SEZ, and the impact that that project will have within the surroundings of Mhlathuze municipality and beyond. Yes, it's located within Richards Bay in KZN, but the impact is going to be felt within the whole of South Africa and Africa. That's how impactful the project is. So for us, it hits the core of our objective as a department responsible for trade and industry and competition. So the CEO of Richards Bay here is tasked with the responsibility of making sure that that investment gets all the support that it needs, with the support from national government. So as he's there, the investment of the project, it's one of his key responsibility within the zone to make sure that it doesn't fail. And as government, we are behind him, because the SEZ, it's a program of government. And so for us, it means a lot, because it just says government was not wrong in putting in place the SEZ as a program, because it really delivering now. We're talking project preparation, feasibility, which has already been completed, but we're going to financial close. So you're talking a project that has been actually done from ground up, as opposed to buying an existing value created by someone else. Here you have value being created from the bottom. And I think for us, as government or as a department, we would like to see a lot more of those, as it was indicated that you're talking about just one commodity among a lot of them. So you can just imagine that if there could be such project in each of the commodities that we have, what impact that might have in the economy of South Africa. Thank you.
Thank you. As I close this panel, I realize that you have all answered what was going to be my last question, which was what would you say are the key selling points of this Nyanza project? So as I close, I'd like to ask you if there's any other aspect, over and above what you've already mentioned, that you feel is a key selling point that is worth mentioning, besides the others that you've already mentioned.
Okay. I think the one thing, Nolwazi, that we have not mentioned that I actually like about the project itself. Firstly, it's black-owned and black-managed. And I think all of you know that generally there are some negative connotations. Whenever blacks do things, they are never seen to be above board. But I think this this is one project where you can actually see black excellence at work. Government, the guys who run the business, the shareholders, the directors, all black money. It's highly, highly innovative. It's a highly innovative project. And you generally do not expect to see projects of this nature, $750 million, being run and managed by blacks and being done successfully for that matter. So I'll say from where I sit, that's one of the things that really, really gives me comfort in actually dealing with the guys. I think it's an important point. And then you look at the foreign currency that will be generated by the project itself, the intra-African trade that will come out of this. The project has got so many positive aspects, not only for South Africa, but for the broader continent as a whole. So it's a project that sits really up there, and like I said, also being run by locals and all that. Thank you.
I think for us, one of the key questions that we were asked when we brought this transaction to our CIO was, well, is this going to be a one-off thing where we have this TiO2 plant sitting in South Africa and then we don't do anything else? And the answer we got was that actually there's huge potential for this project to really scale across the continent, but also beyond. And I think that that's a critical thing to mention. You have various markets across Africa for TiO2, for instance, from Egypt to Nigeria, where AFC is based, and other countries. And Nyanza starting from South Africa is one thing, but we also see the potential for this project to replicate itself and spread across the continent and beyond.
I think the other thing that it's worth mentioning is the Product Development Center in Richards Bay, that as the first phase of the project, it's managed by a young qualified black lady,
Yes.
which is something that normally would be a space that it's male dominated, but I'm not sure whether it was by design, by the management, or coincident that the highly qualified black lady who's an engineer by profession got the job. And coupled with that, you look at the staff there that came from the plant that used to be in Bogotwini. Talking to the guys there, they know what they're talking about. They've done it, and they are so passionate. And I think the fact that the company is black run and black owned, it's an added incentive to them, because it's like now we're doing it for ourselves. And you can see and feel it when you are talking to them. So that really does stand out for me. Thanks.